Hey, I'm Tiny.
Hey, it's Katy. I hope you did not forget about us, and apologies for the tardiness episode. We've both had a lot of like personal things going on, so
Yeah,
it's been
it's
a
been
while.
it's been a
I was just
whirlwind
hmm
for me. So obviously, I'm a very private person, so I'm not going to go into details. Not that anybody expected me to, but let's just say immediate member of my family, some health issues. I think everything's going to be perfectly fine, which is great. That's the good news. Everybody's on the mend. So yeah, we're good. We should be good.
sorry. You're like you were freezing up. I did not hear anything you said except for it's been a whirlwind.
Oh,
So
just
that's okay.
a whirlwind. Just to say, an immediate member of my family had some health issues, but it looks like everything's on the upswing.
Good, good,
So,
good,
onward and upward. And thank
good.
to everyone who knew what was going on. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers. Appreciate it, and I know they worked.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like everything's going okay. Nice studio, by the way. That looks
Thank you.
very nice, elegant.
Yeah. So this is I found that it's probably my life is so busy right now that to leave the radio station and go home just to record a podcast to have to come back didn't make any sense. So this is what you're seeing here is just our kind of our conference room here at the
I
radio
like it.
station.
I
So
like it. It's
you
very
may be
fancy.
seeing you may be saying more of this as we move along. So just get
Yes.
used to it. So how are
Yep,
you?
that's right. I'm good. I had a situation that happened to me on St. Patrick's Day that I've been wanting to talk to you about. It has been a topic of conversation with amongst many of my groups of friends, and I know what you're going to say, but maybe you will be able to be on my side a little bit.
Okay.
Um, so obviously, since the pandemic, and the restaurants closed and then they reopened and a lot of them are short staffed. The service that I found at a lot of places has been lackluster, to put it gently.
Yeah.
And but I think at this point we expect it, that when we go out to eat that it might take a little bit longer. Places are short staffed,
They
the
are.
menu might be a little smaller, and that's fine. Well, I had a situation that happened on St. Patrick's Day that I wasn't going to let go, and I asked to speak to a manager, and the people that I was with, they were very embarrassed that I asked to do it, and we had this big conversation about what kind of service, how rude or how bad does a service have to be before you actually go and speak to a manager, because a lot of people will just pay their tab and leave and not go back and maybe write a review, but this situation in particular I thought really called for a manager. So we were at this restaurant, which I will not name, in downtown Winchester, and it's St. Patrick's Day. It's busy. I get it. Everything's moving slow. Fine. There's four of us to start off with. We all get a round of drinks. The drinks take like 15 minutes, but we eventually get them. Great. Two more people join. Now there's six of us. The table that we have doesn't seat six, so we move to another location and we order another round of drinks and a couple appetizers. I would say about 20 minutes had gone by and we did get one of the appetizers, but none of the drinks came. And we're talking like Bud Light, Miller Light, something very easy on draft that really shouldn't have taken that long.
Right.
And one of my friends that I was with, he went to flag. It wasn't the server, it was like the host, just anybody, because we couldn't get anybody's attention. And it had been about 20 minutes and we wanted to get our beers, get our check, and go on to the next place because we were very upset with the service. So he flags down this hostess and she looks at him and she sees him trying to get her attention. And she goes like this, puts her hand up in front of her face and walks by him like that. Completely. I mean, she saw what she saw. He was like, "Excuse me, ma'am," like this, put her hand up, kept walking. Well, nobody saw it but me. And he's kind of like dumbfounded and he doesn't say anything. And I said, my jaw was like agape.
Oh
And
yeah.
he says, did you see that? And I said, yes. And I'm sorry, but that is not going to fly with me. I
Right.
understand bad service. I'm okay with that. But rude service, just openly rude, that's where I have to draw a line.
Yeah.
So the server eventually makes her way back, not with our drinks, by the way. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to need to speak to a manager. And I was very, very polite about it. Everybody was like, Katy, please
Yeah.
please don't do it. And I said, I understand. I'm not going to be rude. I just think somebody needs to know that this just happened. That
Yeah.
is just not acceptable in my book.
I'm sure that sentence was very expletive filled.
No, it was not. I mean, to them it was, but
Well,
to
that's what I
everybody
mean.
else,
Yeah.
I said to the server, I said, there was a situation that happened. I'd really like to speak to a manager about it. I'm really upset about it, and I'm sure you wouldn't want your restaurant to be represented by this kind of behavior. She looks at me and she says, "Well, our manager's really young." And I said, okay, well, is it a human being with legs that can come up and talk to me? And she's like, yeah, he's just really young. I'm like, okay, that makes zero difference, but fine.
Bring it
So up
on.
comes,
Not my
up
problem.
comes, up comes this like 21-year-old kid, and he smells like a substance that I don't know how
He
to
smells
put
like
this.
weed.
Smells like weed.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, "Were you smoking weed downstairs?" He's like, "No, man," like completely stoned out of his mind.
First of all,
And I,
let me just stop you there. Is the fact that this manager is A21, but not so much that, but the whole smoking of weed thing, given the establishment you were at, and I know you're not going to say it, and that's fine. I don't want you to. But is this surprising? Is this all surprising you, or is this par for what you would think would be par for the course?
no, I wasn't expecting. I don't care if you're young. I mean, even if you're young, you can still have a little decorum. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Decorum, yeah.
Couth,
Couth.
something. Yeah. To you, even if you are 21. I mean, if you're
Right.
running a business, and this is downtown Winchester, there's a lot of competition down there.
Mm-hmm.
I would just expect somebody to come up who was a little bit more professional.
Okay.
And he was not at all. He sits down next to me and he's like, he can barely open his eyes and he keeps smiling, and I explained what happened. And he was like, "Oh, really? I'm really sorry that happened. That's not the example we want to set." And I said, "Well, listen, at this point, we just want our check and we want to go." And he hands us our check, and our bill is $110. Now, mind you, we've had maybe the first round of drinks that we had and one appetizer. And
how many people is this?
6.
Okay.
And I said, "No, I'm sorry. We're not going to pay this. First of all, let me see the bill." I look at the bill. Half the things on there we either A, didn't order, or B, never received. And so he said, "Just point to the item, like from where down you never received." And I pointed, and he's like, "All right, I'm just going to take it all off." And anyway, so we ended up paying the bill and leaving, and that was fine. But everybody was really not mad at me, but giving me a tough time that I had to go and get a manager about it. "Katy, why didn't you just leave and just not go back there?" And I said, I normally wouldn't do something like that, but when somebody was outright rude, I mean, that is the rudest thing I've ever seen somebody do in a restaurant. That to me crossed a line, and I needed to, speak up about it to somebody.
So you said you think you know what my response would be, which is what?
Just pay the bill and leave.
Absolutely not.
Oh, really?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay,
Nothing.
so you're
could
on my
be further
side?
from 100%.
Oh, thank you.
So I can't think of anything I would have handled differently than you did. I may have been more inclined to make more of a scene. I probably wouldn't have been so especially, I think, especially starting with the person telling me, well, he's 21. I mean, you could have bought me for a nickel at that point. Okay.
Yeah, it was, she said, quote unquote, "Well, he's really young."
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah. Well,
means nothing
I would
to
say,
me. Does he have a pulse? I mean, that's all I really care about.
do you think he's going to understand that I'm speaking to him?
Yeah,
That's
does he
all.
speak
That's all I
English?
need.
Yeah.
Does he have the power to fire and hire? So that's where we are now. I'll tell you a quick story about my worst experience with dining. First of all, I've always said this: I will handle obviously great service, and I will tip accordingly. I will handle mediocre service. I can also handle, because I'll speak up, poor service. What absolutely infuriates me beyond anything is I will not tolerate being ignored. I just won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing where in this story, we're in Ocean City, Maryland, and we went to this restaurant. It was breakfast time. And I understand breakfast in Ocean City, especially at the popular places, it's just, and this is well before COVID. This is like 6 years ago. So I understand that they're busy.
Mm-hmm.
We walk in, we were seated right away. The server, and it was me, Mary, my mother, and the guy she was seeing at the time. And we sat there for, I can't tell you, 20 minutes or so. It got nothing. We had
and everybody
ordered,
sees you. They're walking by.
Oh, yeah. We ordered our drinks, and I watched as the server go, because it's kind of a diner-esque type place. So you can see right there, the kitchen's there, everything's there. She walks over to the soda machines and just starts talking. Mind you, all this time's already passed. So we were lucky that we got I'm getting infuriated. I'm like, I'm either leaving or I'm going to walk behind there and get them myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was at. I was pissed. I mean, very upset. So I then see that there were these people, there was 2 tables, one on either side of us. They both came before us and they both had the same server and they both got their drinks before us and had their orders taken. So the whole time I'm saying, okay, I'm going to say something. If we get passed by, if she walks by us one more time, you have my word, I'm saying something. So almost everyone is like, no, you don't
Please
do that.
don't. Yeah.
And the guy my mom was seeing at the time was like, no, it's fine. Just, I'm like, oh no, you can stay if you want, but I'm leaving. That's all there is to it. She walked by me and true to my word, I stood up and I said, look, y'all can stay. That's fine. I said, but I know that I'm going to get quicker service right across the street. And I know that food's good. That's where I'm going. So do what you will. And I got up and I walked out. Now, the moment that I walked out, they did come following, which that's fine. I didn't have to. I didn't care about that. But I said it was the best thing I could have done to have left, because if I stayed there one more minute, Katie, I'm telling you that I was going to raise hell in that restaurant. And that's all there was to it, because it's just blatantly ignoring you.
Yeah. And I think that the thing that bothers me, and I probably say a little bit of this because I just went to France and I've traveled abroad, you know, in other places, if you're in the service industry, that is your career. You take it seriously. It's your creativity. It's your art. You know, it's you want to provide good service. That means something to you that your tables are happy. I don't think that we have that same mentality. Some places, yes, some people, of course, but and especially since the pandemic, it's just that's everybody's excuse. Oh, the pandemic. Oh, the pandemic. Oh, the pandemic. Well, even through a pandemic, you can still be cheery. You can still be polite. You can still, you know, you can still get my drinks in an appropriate amount of time. If I order a water, you know, that doesn't require a kitchen.
Right.
I just think that there's a level, like I try really hard not to say anything because I know that people don't like that and it embarrasses them, but I kind of with you with being ignored, straight up being rude to a customer is just not, that's just not going to do it for me. I'm a paying customer in your establishment and I don't care what I'm ordering. I don't care what it is. You should want to do a good job. This is your job. You know, it's like if I do a bad job teaching, I hear about it. Trust me, I hear about it. If I do something or say something that's questionable, which, you know, not that I have, but I'm trying to think of an example. You know, if I gave a grade that maybe the parents are questioning, oh, was that right? Maybe she made a mistake. I hear about it.
Sure.
And sometimes I'm wrong and it brings attention to it and I'll fix it for the next time. It was the same thing when we were in radio, you know, learning your audience, what makes them happy, what makes people not happy, and doing that accordingly to be good at your job.
I think for me, what infuriates me most is I think being ignored is the height of disrespect. And because you were essentially saying, because you're not fooling anybody, I know you see me. You know, we all know, okay, look, here we are. And you are not acknowledging my existence as a human being. Well, I don't work there. Look, I can't do it for you. And if you're having a bad day, look, bad days happen, but there are certain things that are inexcusable. And that's one of them. I think what also upsets me is the being ignored is almost like indifference. They always say, I'd rather you love me or hate me, but if you're indifferent, then that'll kill you every time. Because I can certainly, you know, when it comes to great service, my response is great tip. When it comes to crappy service, my response is, well, we're going to have a conversation. But it's almost like if you're ignoring me, what can I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can talk to the manager, but in this case, I thought to myself, I haven't paid for anything. I don't need to talk to a manager because I am never, ever darkening their doorstep ever again. They could give me free breakfast for life and you still will never see me because I'd probably still be waiting there. Not even anybody acknowledging me waiting for it.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody has a horror story about the worst service that they ever received, but that was I've had bad service for sure, and at least the server's like genuinely kind or, you know, trying to be nice. This was just straight up like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, I just want to ignore you. It was nuts. I want to tell you something else crazy that happened to me, unless you want to chime in with something as well.
The only thing I want to chime in with is big thanks to Roots Hair Design, Route 11 in Marion. Since we didn't have a podcast last week, I want to give them a little extra love this week.
And also Roots Hair Design, I'm coming to see you because this is not going over well at the moment. I know it's so bad. I know. And I'm going to Germany next week and I really wanted to get my hair done before I go, but every day it's like I am so busy from sun up to sundown. I cannot find time to do anything. Even this podcast, I'm like, all right, we have 25 minutes and then I got to go. Then I'm off. It's just insane.
is it something that comes with age? I understand with age is more responsibility. I get all that. But I the one thing that the last, I don't know, 6 months has taught me is that you have no more precious commodity than time. That there's nothing more precious. There's nothing that I want more of. I would give anything for 2 more hours a day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would. 2 more hours where you can be active, not sleep, just
No,
to
no.
to be
Okay. Yeah,
doing something.
I went
I
2
had
hours.
I told this story more recently than ever before, and this is just like a quick anecdote for you. But people would say, if we're we call them a remote when we're out, as Katie said, we're out in front of the public, and
Live broadcast.
yeah, live broadcast. And I had a friend of mine recently I was at a remote, and these women came up. They were very nice, and I guess you would say flirtatious, whatever. I don't care. But my friend said, "So does Mary? Does that ever get on Mary's nerves?" I said, "Does what?" And they said, "Well, that." I'm like, "Well, I'm not. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have an affair. You know what I want? I want the time to have an affair. I don't want to have an affair. I want to have an affair with time. That's what I want.
Oh my gosh,
I want to
that's
put
funny.
time in my bed, make sweet, passionate love to it, and get as much as I can because I get none."
Wow. There
Yeah.
you go.
So
And there you have it, kids. Okay, so this happened to me, first of all, yesterday I went for a run, by the way, because I'm training for a half marathon.
mhm.
I got no more than 300 feet into my run and I fell, and I'm really, really tall. So when I fall, it's like the fall starts and 1 minute later, my body actually hits the
Yeah.
ground. But I hit so hard. You know how normally you fall, you get up and you dust yourself off and you go. I fell so hard that I had to stop and like assess the situation. And I thought, okay, is something, because I was in a monumental amount of pain. So I thought, okay, maybe I broke something, maybe something's happening. So I had to kind of like look at my leg. I mean, my leg was bleeding. I scraped up both of my hands. I banged
Jeez.
my hip. It was bad. I fell really, really hard.
And when was this?
And yesterday, this was
Okay.
yesterday. And where I fell, I was at my gym. So I was going to run and then I was going to go work out. So this was literally right around the corner from my gym, which is a very, very busy street. And where I fell, there's a light and the light was red. So, of course, all these cars are waiting for the light to turn green. And I look over and I'm like, oh my God. I don't embarrass easily, but if
Right.
I fall, that embarrasses me.
I'm okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know, like, normally that's the route I would take is, okay, I'm fine. Like, I fell at the DMV. I fell when I went running in Arlington. I fell when I went and played disc golf recently. Fell when I fall all the time.
Yeah.
I fell off a desk at school, the legs collapsed and I fell. So I look over and just kind of
Katie has
assessing
fallen
him.
off the floor.
I mean, I fall all the time.
Yeah.
It happens regularly. I'm very clumsy. And I look over and there's this woman and a man, and the woman's driving and the man's in the passenger seat. And I see her tap him and he looks over and she points and I'm down on the ground. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Were they laughing?
They were oh yeah, they were laughing.
Of course.
Nobody rolled down the window and asked if I was okay. It was more like, ha, because everybody saw it. And because I'm so big, I make like a big, and I'm loud. So I was like,
well, yeah. I mean, you tripped on the corner and your head landed in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah, I know. It was so bad. So this
Do you
random
find
thing
that?
happened.
So do you think that, like you said, you were in an immense amount of pain? I mean, obviously this makes sense, but it's so true that we don't recover like we did when we were younger.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, when we're younger, it's like rubber bones. You just, well, we're right back up. And now when we fall, we need a medic alert bracelet or something
I
because
know.
we're like, let me make sure everything's still attached. Somebody just have 911 on standby. Just I'd like to have him here. Okay, am I on Earth?
I went limping back to my gym. I text my roommate Casey because she was there waiting for me because we were going to work out together. And I said, well, on my way back, I just had a fall. And she's like, you just left 10 seconds ago. And I said, oh yeah, I got around the corner and I fell. And I went like,
didn't you feel the earthquake?
Yeah, that was not an earthquake, kids. That was me falling to the ground. And I walked back in limping, like making a big scene. Everyone's in the middle of working out. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Let's interrupt this workout.
Yeah.
I just fell.
Right.
And
look at my elbow.
I need a first aid kit. Emmett, our coach, I was like, Emmett, do you have a first aid kit? I need some help. And he's like, sure, Katie, let me pause this class to go take care of your scrapes on your leg. But this other kind of crazy thing happened to me today that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't. This is wild. And I'm going to tell this story, but even me telling it is not going to, it's not going to articulate exactly what actually happened.
Okay.
Today I'm at recess and
So there
I'm
she is
standing
out there playing in the playground.
here I am, playing with the kids on the playground and I'm swinging on the swings. And it's me, my friend Mallory, and our aide Sarah. The three of us are standing in a little circle. We had just gotten out to recess. And all of a sudden, this really, really large gust of wind comes onto the playground. And we see it, but then all of a sudden it turns into what I would equate to like a tornado, like tornado style
Yeah.
winds
Hmm.
that were wrapping all around us and we couldn't see. So we were covering our eyes and the wind was so intense it was kind of shaking our bodies around and all you hear is just screaming from us, from the kids. I mean, it went on for a good 3-4 seconds. When it finally died down, Tiny, we were covered in dirt. We were covered in dirt. There was so much dirt and mulch in our shoes. There was dirt in our ears. Our faces were covered in dirt. It looked like we just rolled around in the mulch. It was like that's what I would equate to being in a tornado. I would equate it to being like a tornado type of wind.
Hmm.
There was no wind happening. It happened. It just did this thing. It stopped. Everybody, like, nobody was talking. Everybody was silent. We all looked at each other. My kids looked at me like, "Are you okay?" And I think I am.
Like
I'm
what
not
just
sure.
happened?
Dirt everywhere. We are all covered in dirt, covered. And I don't know how to else to. It wasn't a big gust of wind. It was way more than that happened. I've been in windstorms before. This was circular. This was around us, and it picked all of the mulch and the dust off of the playground and circled us, and
Hmm.
we were covered in it from head to toe. So I was telling my best friend Bridget about it today, and just I hesitate to even tell the story because I don't think I can even I can't tell you how crazy it
Right.
was. It was insane. And she was saying that it could be related to the fact that they found like a hole in the sun and there's going to be these monumental winds that start making their way to planet Earth between now and Friday. Have you heard anything about this?
What, like solar flares?
I don't know. I didn't read the whole article because this just happened, but I wanted to ask if you had heard anything about this. Because when I
No,
said that to
nothing.
her, I wasn't expecting any kind of oh yeah, Katie, I think it could be this. I was
Yeah.
just expecting her to say, like, oh yeah, it sounds like a windstorm. But she says, I actually think that there is something that's going on with these crazy wind gusts that
Great.
are because of some kind of
Great.
solar something that's
Now we're
happening.
caught in an M. Night Shyamalan version of The Happening.
Tiny, we all looked at each other because we thought we were in different bodies. Like it was like a Freaky Friday thing. I thought I was going to open my eyes and be in Mallory's body and so on and so forth. Like I had to like look down like, am I still Katie Dickinson?
So
Am I close?
here's Katy. She has all these thoughts in her mind, like, "Oh my god, that's gonna be an out of body experience." Like she said, "I'm gonna switch bodies with somebody," and she's like, "Damn,
Damn it.
damn."
I told my friend Mallory that thought that I had and she goes, "Oh, I could only imagine if I opened my eyes and I'm in your body. Then I would know what it was like to be single for the rest of my life."
That's good. I like it. I like her already. Mallory, shout out to you. Props.
It's
Punch
so
it.
funny. It's so funny. I couldn't even be mad about it. I'm like, yeah, that's accurate.
That's
Accurate.
good. I
So,
like that.
in case if that happens to you, let me know because it was wild. Absolutely. We're gonna check there's cameras outside on the playground, so we're
Mhm.
gonna go and check them tomorrow to see if you can see it because I don't know how to. I don't know. It was like I would
Well, you
imagine
have
if you were.
witnesses. It's not like there. How many teachers were there?
There were three of us, and it
Okay.
was the kids saw it happen to us. There were only a few kids that were involved in it because it just happened around the three of us and a couple kids that were there, but we had to shield ourselves and we were screaming. We couldn't see. Our bodies were shaking, and then when we looked at each other we were all covered. Our hair, there was all kinds of mulch in our hair and our ears and our shoes. It was insane.
Wow.
It was wild. Absolutely. Probably one of the wildest things that have ever happened to me.
This stuff
Insane.
would only happen to you.
Of course it does. I should write a book. These things happen to me all the time.
I
All the
mean,
time.
the title of the book should be "You'll Never Believe This."
You'll never believe this. This actually happened and I'm not lying.
Wow.
Real stories. The Katy
So
Dickinson story.
so Katy had her own personal tornado.
I did. I mean, my life is one as well, so I have that always, circling
Yeah.
and happening as well.
Sure.
But this was a little different.
Wow, that's crazy.
Big news coming up here. So I'm thinking maybe our next podcast we share some pretty big news that's going on, or
Did you get the clearing for? Did you get the okay for that?
I mean, from whom?
From the only person who could clear that.
I think so.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we have some news to tell, but we won't do it today. Let's just double check and ensure that we're allowed to share. And
Well,
coming up,
just know this is that we do have big news. It is confirmed. One part of it, at least. So you have our word that we will, as soon as we're given the all clear, we will announce it. Absolutely.
yes,
And we can't
for
wait,
sure.
really.
Well, I'm thinking, and I'm hoping we could do it next week because I go to Germany next Thursday. So
That's true.
in 1 week, I will be auf Wiedersehen on my way to Germany, Belgium, Amsterdam. I mean, all over the place. I'm just this world traveler. I'm this world traveler with a negative balance in my bank account, by the way.
Oh, God.
I overdrew my bank account. Never
Did
done
you
it
really?
before. Yes. Yes. I had a
Katie
tornado happen
overdrew
today,
her bank account?
and I overdrew my bank account. Yeah. I don't know what's going on in 2023. It's just
That
hitting me.
that would I look, if you would have given me, if you say, Tiny, make a list of 20 things that Katie is going to do, that would never have even made it. Ever.
I know. It's wild, but that's what's happening in
Oh, my.
2023. I'm getting wild and crazy, kids.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, we got good news coming your way, that's for sure. So we will talk to you. Hopefully we can squeeze one in. When do you leave for Germany?
A week from today is Wednesday, the 29th. I leave next Thursday, the
Okay.
6th.
So we'll have a pre-show before we send Katie off to Germany. But we love you, and thank you for joining us once again, and we'll talk to you soon.
It's the Tiny and Katie Show.